Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to continue the segments of looking at the Rogue Trader kill team. In specific, I'm going to be looking at the mini codexes inside. Now, the mini codexes are the additional rules to the kill team that essentially allows you to use the units within the box in your regular 40k games. So I'm sure you're very interested to see how the Elucidian Starstriders actually can work as a unit in your Imperium forces, assuming that they are Imperium, and also the Gellerpox Infected can work in your Chaos forces. So there's a couple of things. I've had a quick read over them. I've not done them in complete detail yet because I've just got hold of this, and I've had to look to see what are the key parts in it. We'll begin with the Elucidian Starstriders to have a look at these guys. So there's a couple of things to note in them. One thing I would note, and this is probably actually very important when looking at these guys, and something I did not expect, this applies to both the Elucidian Starstriders and the Gellerpox Infected, and that is the fact that all the units in them, and all the units do say this, is that only one of this model can be included in this army. Also, for instance, Nietzsche's squads, only one of this unit can be included in your army. So what I would say in that one, and that applies to Gellerpox Infected as well, is that really they're just created the rules for this kill team to work in addition to your games. You can't really build an army around these guys. I'm a little bit devastated in that one because I wanted to have more zombies to make a shambling horde of zombies in the 40k universe, because I'm a fan of that. I really enjoyed that. I played a lot of High Terror campaign with lots of zombies, but you know, I now can't have unlimited brutes in them. You know, I can only keep for the amount that's in them. So yeah, that's interesting that they've made it that there is basically the rules within these do work with the box, and that these are the only ones that can work with them. How that will maybe evolve later on, we'll find out. I mean, some of the guys in here are special characters, so it does make sense that they are unique and only one can be applied. So yeah, to speak about the Elucidian Starstriders, they have their basic rules which come with stratagems, warlord traits, generic sort of rules that work with them as well. So let's go into the rules. They have Warrant of Trade. I think this was already talked about. A model with this ability can embark onto any Imperium transport, even though the transport in question might normally only permit models with the faction keyword to do so. All other restrictions apply normally. So you know these guys can jump in a Rhino, they can jump in a Land Raider, they can jump in a Taurox. I'm pretty sure it's got transport capability. Basis of Imperium has transport capabilities. These guys, you know, they're like Warrant of Trades. You know, we're gonna trade some goods, we can come along, and they jump in the transport as well. So that's kind of handy. It does mean that, you know, they are not restricted in the transports they can have. Rogue Trader Retinue. This ability has no effect unless your army includes Lucia Vane. Obviously she is the leader of the kill team. If it does so, you cannot set up any unit with this ability before you have set up a Lucia Vane. When you set up a Lucia Vane, during deployment all units with this ability are set up at the same time. When you set up a Lucia Vane on the battlefield for the first time, all units with this ability must be set up within 6 inches of her, or they must be set up in the same transport as her. If they cannot be set up, they count as destroyed. Now that's an interesting one. Can you fit all 10 models around her within a 6-inch area? I think I'm 9% sure you can. You know, because they're not on the biggest bases, these guys. But interesting that they all must act around her. They can't work as separate units. Basically, I'm pretty much as lore-wise, you know, sort of as a sort of narrative way, they want to keep together and work as, hey, a kill team. So it makes sense that they sort of all deploy together. There is a handy stratagem for that later on, but I'll go into that later. Warlord trait. If Lucia Vane is your warlord, she always has the Exploration Fleet Master warlord trait. And this is very interesting. If your army is this her warlord trait, if she's a warlord, if your army is Battleforged, you receive 3 additional command points. So there's many warlord traits that are very handy. Being able to just have 3 command points straight off the bat is kind of handy. However, these can only be spent to use Elucidian Starstrider stratagems. So This is the first instance where I've seen actually a restriction on what you can spend your command points are, depending on, say, the stratagem or the detachment that's made with. This is a very interesting precedent towards the use of stratagems later on. Being able to get these 3 additional command points, but only be able to use them on Elucidian Starstrider stratagems is very interesting. What that says about the game later on we'll see. So what is Elucia Vane? I'm not going to go into every unit, but I will go into them in a wee bit. So Elucia Vane is kind of standard Imperium unit in some way. She has movement 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness 3, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 9, and a 4+ save. She has a pistol, which is pistol 1, strength 4, but it's -2 AP and 2 damage. Pretty cool. She has melee weapon, which is strength user, strength 3, -4 AP. Monomolecular Cane Rapier is -4 AP, you know, that's some sword. But there's only 1 damage, but it's going to go through armor like there's no tomorrow. And she also has concussion grenades as well. She has Warrant of Trade. Concealed Architect weapon. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, pick an enemy model within 1 inch of Elucia Vane and roll a dice. On a 4+, that model suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, that's a handy way to get some mortal wounds on characters or things with impressive invul saves. Basically, she can rip through armor like there's no tomorrow. If she wounds, she's basically, if you don't have an invul save, you're going to struggle to have a save. And then afterwards, sorry, at the start of the fight phase, you can pick an enemy model, and within 1 inch of her, and on a 4+ suffers D3 more wounds, and more wounds carry over. So yeah, she can chuck out more wounds and tear through armor pretty easily. If there's only some ways to buff her strength, she could be quite a nasty character. She has a 4-up invul save from Disruption Field Generator and Multi-Spectral Ospiter. Reroll hit rolls of 1 made for attacks for friendly Elucidian Starstriders within 6 inches of Elucidia Vane. So she sort of gives that reroll 1 to the Starstriders. Thank goodness no Imperium units, because otherwise she'd be taking almost every game, because she's not that many points. Faction keywords, she has Imperium, Astra, Cartographer, but it's got a CA at the end, yep, and Elucidian Starstriders. So she has Imperium keywords, so she could obviously just be used in Imperium armies as that one. So yeah, that's Elucia Vane. Bit of an interesting one, great sort of, you know, get through armor, get mortal wounds, has a pistol so that does 2 damage, so not bad on that front. She's not that many points, so really handy to have as well. We then have the Voidsman at Arms. Now this is sort of general troops of, I think, within sort of, you know, working on the Star Fox, I think it was called. I think that's the name of the ship. Or the Elucidian Starstriders, sort of general men. They are in a squad known as Nietzsche's Squad. There is going to be Nietzsche, Aximilian, which is the dog, 4 Voidsmen as well, and only 1 of the squad can be fielded. Most are armed with las guns, las pistols, and concussion grenades. One of them is armed with a rotor cannon, and the Void Master, which I believe is Nietzsche, has an artificer shotgun, las pistol, and concussion grenades. So nothing in terms of their war gears particularly stand out. In terms of their stat line, it's all pretty much standard guard, except Nietzsche has 2 wounds and attacks, and the dog, Aximilian, has an 8-inch movement and 2 attacks. Pretty basic stats otherwise. We do have the rotor cannon, which is a heavy 4, strength 4, -1 AP but 2 damage, so that's quite a bit of a heavy hitting cannon on that one as well. 4 shots means once they set up, just, you know, fire out a bunch of shots and hopefully it might cause 2 damage on a piece. Say you're going after Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shield, you are ballistic skill 3 for these guys, so a bit better than standard guardsmen. But it does mean that if there's layer stratagem, you hit 3s, if you move you're going to be 4s, 4s to wounds, Terminators and Terminator Armor with Thunderhammer Storm Shield, but each one that gets through, and it will be against their Storm Shield save because it's only -1 AP, will kill a Terminator, which is really handy in itself. They have Warrant of Trade, Rogue Trader Retinue, which is the rules we discussed at the start. Loyal retainers, add 1 leadership characteristics for models in this. They're within 6 inches of Elucidian vein. And then one rule that I saw that caused a little bit of disruption on the internet. If any of you might know what this one is in regard to Aximilian the dog. It says, Aximilian, the death of Aximilian is ignored for the purpose of morale tests. And when I saw this, the amount of memes and anger that the fact they were saying that the death of Aximilian the dog, now I don't know him in terms of lore, but it's a dog and people love dogs, is not going to affect the morale of the unit. They just watched their loyal canine go down. They're going to feel it. You know, have you ever seen Keanu Reeves? He doesn't take the death of dogs well, you know, and don't think the general public do either. So yeah, I've seen a bunch of memes of people reacting to that rule. You know, people calling for it to be FAQ'd immediately. You know, the fact that the death of Aximilian doesn't play effect on morale. Well, it'd hurt my feelings if he went down, you know, but you know, he's a good, you know, good boy. He makes sure that the rest of the squad survive. So yeah, on that one, interesting, we then go into a bit of characters. Now I'm interested on this one specifically, and that is the Electromeesters. And this one is a special character with his own name, Larsen van der Graas. Larsen has sort of quite a mediocre stat line, 4s in Bliss skill and Weapon skill, Strength Toughness 3, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, and a 4-up save. Crazy weapon. Well, it's got concussion rate and a Voltac pistol. Pistol is strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, but if it hits on a 6, it causes 3 attacks, 3 hits, so kind of like Tesla. It's got Warner of Trades, Rogue Trade Retinue, and Volguest Array. Friendly Elucidian Starstrider units wholly within 6 inches of this model get a 5-up invul. So if you all start together, have a 5-up invul. Your leader already has a 4-up invul, but everyone gets a 5-up invul as standard with him. Interesting though, is faction keywords are going to be Imperium and Elucidian Starstrider, but keywords though is character Adeptus Mechanicus, Mars, Tech Priest, Electromeester, and obviously his own name, Larsen van der Graas. So he is a Tech Priest, but like not a Tech Priest Dominus, not a Tech Priest Engine Seer. It appears to be sort of a Tech Priest Electromeester. He is an elite choice, and he is confirmed Adeptus Mechanicus. Is this the future that we're going to get, you know, future AdMech characters, and they're going to be called Electromeesters and they're going to give invul saves? Who knows? But any chance to get more characters, preferably HQs for AdMech in the future, I am totally game for that. So yeah, pretty cool. We then have the Revenant Adepts. So this is sort of, I think, the sort of healer of the squad in this. Sanista Minst is the special character name. She's armed with Scalpel Claw, Last Pistol, Concussion, General Guard Line with a bit extra attack and wounds. What she can do though is she's got healing serums at the end of your movement phase. This model can attempt to heal a single friendly Elucidian Starstrider infantry unit within 3 inches. If it does so, on a D6, on a 4+, the model recovers 1 wound. If the unit is in each of squads, 1 model slain earlier in the game comes back. So kind of works as a healer, which is kind of handy for the squad. We then have the Death Cult Executioners, and this is basically, you know, if you're going to go Death Cult, this is this one here. And this is Nosoprond. Might be murdering that name there. So this one's more of a killy character in that sense, so I'll go into this in a bit more detail. Movement 7, so fast. Weapon skill 3, it's not hitting quite as accurately. Ballistic skill 4, not hitting as accurately as expected. Strength 4, so a bit higher. Toughness 3, 2 wounds, so not the most survivable, but it does have character. 4 attacks, so plenty of attacks. Leadership 8 and 5-up save, so a little bit vulnerable to fire there. If caught in the open, could be dangerous. Has a Dark Mask, which is Pistol 1, Strength 1, AP -1 and 1 damage, but it always wounds on a 2+, unless it is a Titanic or vehicle. So kind of like a cheap wee shot to get a wound off, -1 AP, but you're always wounding on a 2 against anything but vehicles or Titanic, so that's kind of cool. Death Cult Power Blades, melee, strength user, strength 4, minus 2 AP, 1 damage. Not great but not bad. I would have liked it to be minus 3 AP, would have made this a bit more dangerous. Also has concussion grenades as well, which all of them have, which is basically if this target's within 1 inch of terrain feature, add 1 to strength and damage characteristic. So if the target is hunkered down in terrain, it's going to hurt you more. Has 1 of trade, rogue trader retinue, uncanny reflexes, 5 of pinball, and Zealot. You can reroll failed hit rolls for this model in a turn in which it charged, made a heroic intervention, or was charged by an enemy unit. So you may miss, it's only 3+ hit in combat, but you may you get to reroll basically when you are charged or are charged. You are charged or you charge. So in terms of stratagems, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll mention some key ones here. One is Digital Laser Regalia, which is use a stratagem immediately after fighting with Elucidian. Resolve 1 additional attack against an enemy unit within 1 inch of her. If the attack hits, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds instead of the normal damage. So that's 1 command point. After all her attacks, you simply just need to hit. Keep in mind she hits on 3s, and then you reroll 1s with her. So if you hit, you then cause D3 more wounds. Might not be bad if she's in some sort of deadly duel. You've got your 4 attacks with her that have the minus 4 AP. You do her ability to get mortal wounds, and then use another command point to hopefully get a few more. So that'd be quite nice on that side. There is next up, I'd probably say another really good one that I saw earlier on. Yep. So Nossa Prawns can turn until the end of the phase, in the fight phase, she can turn her Power Blade into D3 mortal wounds, sorry, not D3 mortal wounds, D3 damage when, damage versus D3 when is attacking infantry. So maybe better when she's fighting a bit more things with multiple wounds, makes her more reliable. That is the assassin. And then Personal Teleportarium Chamber, this 1 command point. Use a stratagem during deployment, set up all the Elucidian Starstrider units from your army in Teleportarium Chamber instead of placing them on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phases, they can teleport into battle. Set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from the enemy models. So imagine that's going to be, if you are going to use these guys at all, that's probably the way I'm going to see people use them. Spend a command point. After all, if you're the warlord with her, with a Lucia Vane, you're going to get 3 extra that you have to spend on these stratagems. So why not, Deep Strike In? Deep Strike In, and you can set up this unit as a bit of a harassment somewhere to act together and do a bit of damage. Overall, if I was to be honest, there's nothing in here that I see as like game changing or game breaking. It seems to be sort of nice, good fluff units that might help. One thing I would say though is that they're all very cheap. I won't go into their points exactly, but very cheap. I could be wrong. You could field all 10 models for less than 150 points. That is, if it's, it'd be very close, 150 to 200, closer to the 150 mark. That includes Lucia Vane, so obviously you're having a character in there, you're having a small-time assassin, the crazy admech guy giving 5 of pinball, obviously your good dog, and the squad as well. So it's a very, very cheap unit. With a lot of special abilities, a lot of characters which you can use sort of to abuse to get points, etc. as well, and you can teleport them in to react later on. How people use the Elucidian Starstriders will be very interesting. Now, this is where I'm more excited for, the Gellerpox Invictus. Now, just speak about myself. In 7th, I used a lot of battle reports with typhus, turning all my cultists into plague zombies. During the Eye of Terror campaign many years ago, I want to say 14 years ago, I used a Lost and Damned army, which allowed me to use zombies in 40k and various other things, mutants, etc. And I absolutely loved it. So being able to use the Gellerpox Infected and the bigger zombies is absolutely appealing to me to bring alongside Poxwalkers once I get my Death Card army up and going. So again, the important thing to remember with this one is that every unit in this is 1 in your army. So I can't bring in a whole bunch of the big units, unfortunately. How that'll maybe play out later on, we'll find out. but I would absolutely love to, because those models are amazing, and you can bet if I'm playing sort of Chaos armies, then I'm probably going to bring them along. So yeah, let's speak a wee bit about the contingent. So the following abilities are common to several Gellerpox infected. Disgustingly resilient. So we all know, I think, disgustingly resilient. Each time a model suffers a wound on a 5+, it does not. Excellent. Vulgar's followers. This ability has no effect unless your army includes Vulgar Thrice Cursed. If it does, you cannot set up any units with this ability before you have set up Vulgar Thrice Cursed. When you set up Vulgar Thrice Cursed during deployment, all units with this ability set up at the same time. When you set up Vulgar Thrice Cursed in the battlefield for the first time, all units with this ability must set up within 6 inches of him. If they cannot be set up, they count as destroyed. So it's a bit more difficult because you have, I think, 22 models to set up within 6 inches of him. You're going to be very tight packed to do that. I'm a bit intrigued by that one, that you have to be so close. Now I'm going to guess it's just a unit. Yep, so a lot of these guys do act as a unit, so you can spread out. I don't think it's every model. Yep, so when you set up Vulgar House, all units must set up at the same time. All units within them must be within 6. So not every model needs to be nearby, but every unit must be by. So you must be within 6 inches of them. So you can spread out that way, but it's a very odd rule to have. Very similar to the Elucidian Starstriders. Warlord trait. If Vulgar Thrice Cursed is your Warlord, you always have the Twisted Brilliance Warlord trait. Again, similar than previously, if your army is battle forged, you receive 3 additional command points. These can only be spent on Gellerpox infected stratagems. So again, an interesting precedent to see that they're willing to take that in the mini codexes. How that'll maybe turn out in later stuff. It'll be very interesting to see the evolution of command points. So Vulgar Thrice Cursed, I think I'm pronouncing that right, is an HQ choice and has a nice wee impressive stat line. So movement 5, so a bit faster than a lot of other Poxwalkers. Poxwalkers are usually 4. Weapon skill 3, so not the most accurate, but hey, he is a big flailing, shamble of, mutation and, machine. Bliss skill 6, don't worry, you don't need to worry about that. I promise you don't need to worry about that. Strength and toughness 5, so this guy is a bit of a machine, a bit of a monster. 5 wounds, so a bit more wounds than most characters. 4 attacks. Leadership 9, quite brave, and a 6+ save. Yeah, 6+ save, you're not going to be using that much. He is single model, he is armed with a belly flamer, so he has a big flamer on his belly. As I think maybe, I don't know if I'm close enough for doing that well enough. Yeah, so that thing spews forth range 8, assault d6, strength 4, APE 0, 1 damage. The weapon automatically hits its target. He's got a flamer, guys, don't need to worry about that bliss skill 6. Woo! Flesh Ripper Claws, melee, +1 strength, so bring him to strength 6, -2 AP, 2 damage. That's not a bad weapon on this guy, it's not, it's no Thunderhammer Storm Shields, but, it is, and I never use them because I'm not allowed to, I don't have an army that can. But strength 6, kind of handy, -2 AP is pretty good, and 2 damage. We'll see some units take a wee bit of damage. I quite like that a wee bit. Disgustingly resilient, keep him alive. Lord of Resentment, reroll hit rolls of 1 made for friendly Gellerpox infected units within 6 inches of Vulgar Thrice Cursed. So yeah, there's your rerolls of 1. He has Bionic Abomination, 5-up invul, never going to use that 6-up armor save. Horrific Visage, subtract 1 from your leadership characteristic of all units while they're within 6 inches of enemy models with this ability. So he's got a wee bit of fear bombing behind him, he's got a bit of survivability, and he's got a bit of attacks as well. Overall, I really like him. I really kind of do. And for his points, which I won't reveal at the moment, because I don't know if I should, Vulgar House. Yeah, okay, I can dig it. I think that's not bad. Now, interesting for faction keywords, they are Chaos and Gellerpox Infected. So, you know, you can use him just sort of like as Death Guard, you know, one, which kind of makes sense because, you know, he's not Death Guard as such. But, you know, I really wanted to go along Poxwalkers a wee bit. Guess I'm just going to have to use him on the faction keyword Chaos, which is all fine. Keywords, interestingly enough, 4 keywords: Nurgle, Character, Infantry, Twisted Lord, interesting one, Vulgar, Thrice Cursed. You know, it does have the Nurgle keyword, but in terms of factions, it is Chaos. Overall, I like him. The Vox Shamblers. So this unit contains 3 Gellerpox mutants. So this unit is similar to Poxwalkers in some ways. Sorry if I'm being a bit biased and showing. I don't think the Elucidian Starstrider actually showed pictures of the units in the Codex. These guys have movement of 4, weapon skill plus skill 4, strength toughness 4, 2 attacks piece, very similar to in some ways to Poxwalkers, maybe a little bit better. There's only 3 in the unit because I think that's how many you get in the box. They are armed with mutated limbs and improvised weapons, which is basic combat but minus 1 AP, and they have frag grenades as well. Zombies can throw grenades now. Disgusting Resilient, excellent. Vulgar's followers. As I said, Gellercast Masks. Models in this unit have a 5-up inbuild, so they're a bit more survival, 5-up, 5-up. Each time you roll an unmodified saving throw of 6 for this unit in the fight phase, the unit that made the attack suffers 1 mortal wound after it has made all of its attacks. So they only have 1 wound apiece, so only 3 wounds. But if you make an unmodified saving throw of 6, have a more wound back. That'll damage you there. I would really like to be able to take more. Again, it says only 1 of this unit can be included in your army, because it'd be a different variety of zombie for me. But yeah, interesting to have on that side as well. Glitchlings. So this unit contains 4. Movement 5, toughness, strength 2. Generally these are sort of mini Nurglings in some ways. They're only 2 attacks apiece. They fight with disease, claws and fangs, which are strength users, strength 2. 1 damage, no AP, reroll wound rolls of 1. Well, you're not going to be wounding many things, but they must have some abilities. They're demonic, so they have 5-up in a bill, so similar to Nurglings. They have Disgusting Resilient, Vulgar's followers, we've talked about. Squishable, which I think is a Nurgling rule. They only get Disgusting Resilient on damage characteristics of 1, and they've only got 1 wound apiece, so they're 4 individual guys. But they do have Weapon Glitch, subtract 1 from hit rolls made for attacks with ranged weapons from that target's unit. So if you're going to try and kill them with ranged, you're not going to do it very accurately. These are going to make force of guys that are going to just harass. They're going to be sitting on an objective marker, and you know your opponent's going to shoot at them and maybe miss and just be a little bit frustrated. Are they cheap for glitchlings? Yep, they're quite cheap. Not bad. I think more of a harassment unit, but yeah, not bad. Now here we go. Here we go. This is the guys I was excited about. Here's your brutes, or more accurately called the Hullbreakers, or Nightmare Hullbreakers, which sounds awesome. So this unit contains Gnasher Screamer, which I presume is sort of like the leader of them, and 2 Nightmare Hulks. So they are armed with Hideous Mutations and Plague, Hideous Mutations, and the Gnasher Screamer has a Plague Cleaver. So Gnasher Screamer is going to be that guy there with the big cleaver. Now these guys are the guys I'm probably most interested in because they're the biggest sort of zombie unit. Movement 5, so a bit faster than Poxwalkers. Weapon skill 4, so they're not very accurate. Strength and toughness 5, so they are tanky. 4 wounds, so plenty of wounds. 3 attacks with 4 on Gnasher Screamer. Leadership 7 with leadership 8 on Gnasher Screamer. So if the other 2 do die and you keep Gnasher Screamer, you should theoretically not run. And a 6-up save, so you're not going to save that way. Their weapons, Hideous Mutations, are strength users, strength 5, minus 2 AP and 2 damage. So on heavier stuff that can be quite dangerous. Minus 2 AP and 2 damage on strength 5 model, not bad. Plague Cleaver is a bit different, where basically the Plague Cleaver on Gnasher Screamer gets to reroll 1s to wound. Similar sort of plague weapons. These guys have Disgustingly Resilient, so you may have a 6-up save, but at least you have 5-up Disgustingly Resilient. Vulgar's followers, so you've got to deploy within 6 inches. And Horrific Visage, subtract 1 from leadership characteristics of this unit while they're within 6 inches of an enemy model with this ability. So again, this is going to probably stack well with Thrice Cursed. That means you're going to be -2 to their morale when these guys are all about your enemy's units. So I really like them. I think they're quite good in terms of points. I'll find them later. Either way, I'm still absolutely sold on this unit. Hullbreakers, absolutely sold on them. Really, really nice. I actually like them. Pretty cool. We then have the Motide Vermins. This is like the 3 sort of vermin squads in this one. High movement on just about all of them, but the Sludge Grubs. They've got a bunch of different abilities, you know, on them. Some are -1 to hit for attacks that attack this unit. They add a slain one, each one dies, so you've got to wipe out the unit, otherwise another one comes back. They're all just 4 models a piece, but you can't expand on them, and you can only include one of these ones, this unit, in this army. So yeah, not so ideal, I would say, on that one as well. Nothing on their stats are particularly, you know, impressive in some ways. You know, unmodified rolls, automatic results and wins, yeah. You know, nothing I'd probably say, is auto take on these ones. The Eye Stinger Swarms, maybe, they're super fast, they've got D3 attacks each, and any unmodified hit rolls of 6 automatically wound, which gets past a bunch of stuff, and they regrow. So yeah, the Eye Stinger Swarms, maybe. You can reroll charge rolls for one of them, yep. And another one is roll a d6, and each time model in this unit is slain on a 6, the model that caused it suffers a mortal wound back. So there's a bunch of special abilities in them as well. If they are cheap, again, they are sort of a harassing unit, more of a pain than anything else. Yeah, quite cheap on them as well. So they're cheap as well. In terms of stratagems, now the ones that might be key for them here. I can't remember all of them here, so before removing them on the battlefield. So Fiery Demise for Vulgar Thrice Cursed. When he is slain, so he's got to die. Before removing him from the battlefield, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches. On a 4+, that unit suffers mortal wound. So you really want to make sure you're actually surrounded by units, and then you might cause mortal wounds, maybe characters as well. Not going to be the most useful if you're just fighting one unit. Corruption and Decay, use the stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Choose an enemy unit within 3 inches of Gellerpox Infected. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to all wound rolls made for Gellerpox infected models from your army when they target this enemy unit. So I really like this one. It's called Corruption and Decay. So 1 command point. Basically, enemy unit within 3 inches of Gellerpox, you go, I want to try and wound it, and you throw as much Gellerpox as you can at them. Gain +1 to wound rolls. I always stand by. If you've seen any of my tactical talks, which is Long War, gain +1 to wound is really, really nice, because hits have a lot more ways to influence hits than wounds. So if you are working a big Gellerpox infected squad, activate Corruption and Decay every time and just try and mulch down on that unit. So that's going to be a pretty handy one as well. Rancid Vomit, use a stratagem in it's 1 command point in the shooting phase. Choose a Hellbreaker model from your army, then choose an enemy unit within 6 inches and is visible to it. Roll 3d6, and on 5+, the enemy unit suffers mortal wounds for each roll of a d6. 3d6, any 5 scores mortal wound. Is it worth a command point? Probably not. The Glitchlings, use a stratagem, the enemy suffers mortal wounds, yep. Yep, Salmon's not as good. Gear Shift, yep, so there's instant moving. Insane Gibberish, use this stratagem at the start of the enemy psychic phase. Use this until the end of the phase. Subtract 1 from psychic tests taken from enemy psychers while they're within 18 inches of Vulgar Thrice Cursed. So I'll just repeat that a little bit slower. Insane Gibbering, 1 command point. Use at the start of the enemy psychic phase. Use until the end of the phase. Subtract 1 from psychic test for enemy psychers while they're within 18 inches of Thrice Cursed. If you're playing against a Psyker heavy army and you've got Thrice Cursed, I can almost guarantee you're going to use that every single psychic phase. You're going to be like -1 to all your rolls, every single one of them, because really handy. Thousand Suns and Grey Knights are gonna hate you. So that's really, really handy on that side as well. So in terms of stratagems there as well, not as impressive. I may have been going through them a little bit quickly. You know, use a stratagem before you move the Vox Scramblers, yeah. Not as much movement one. If they could get a good movement stratagem, you know, to set them all up in deep strike like the Elucidian Starstriders, that would be really handy. In terms of points, bit more expensive. Well, all things considered, probably not actually. In fact, probably about the same. Thrice Cursed and the Hullbreakers, the majority of the points by a lot. They alone add up to at least somewhere in the region of 150 points. The rest are super cheap in themselves and don't add up to much. So yeah, again, you could probably fit all 23 models in less than 200 points, which for, you know, Vulgar, Thrice Cursed, some of the other guys may be handy, may be quite helpful. Super nice, I think, in a Death Guard army if you're going to go down Chaos. Could be pretty cool. So that's a quick look at the Elucidian Starstriders and the Gellerpox Infected. What do I think on these ones? Honestly, I think the rules are mainly just there to get the rules for the models. They work as sort of an addition to the armies. If you're going to play narrative campaigns, having the Elucidian Starstriders is really, really awesome. I actually quite like them, and their models are pretty cool on them as well. So if you want to have a rogue, you know, rogue trader squad, you can do. Essentially, that gives your squad right there, and they can work all together. Equally, the Gellerpox Infected. I'm a bigger fan of this one, but I am completely 100% biased, and I won't hide that. I absolutely think Thrice Cursed and the Hullbreakers will definitely make an appearance once I get my Death Guard all together. The other guys, yep, sure, as well, they'll probably appear, but the Hullbreakers and Thrice Cursed I am really enjoying if they're going to sort of be at the forefront of a Poxwalker sort of plague rolling across the battlefield. I think that would be really, really cool. So yeah, interesting how they work. Not quite what I expected, but still the rules do help in sort of games if you're interested to play them in. Definitely like the Gellerpox Infected. Definitely going to get them as soon as I can get a chance to get my Death Guard going. So thanks again for watching, guys. Please comment, share, like and subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are on these guys, whether they're going to see, you know, whether they're predominantly going to see in Kill Team, or are you going to use them in your games. I think some guys may be interested. Some of you folk might be interested in it, including some of these units, certainly Gellerpox. I'm so biased it's not even unreal. So yeah, let me know your comments on that one. I'm very, very intrigued to read them. So yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you on another Tabletop Assault Battle Report.